Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bohdi, welcome to my reading nook. So, today I'm going to share an op shop haul. For those who don't live in Australia, I'm not really sure what you call them. Potentially you call them thrift stores, I'm not really sure. Second-hand stores, we call them op shops, oppies, whatever. Vinnie's, Salvos, Salvation Army, whatever. So I went there because I like buying second-hand books, and I bought a couple of books. I'm going to go through and share what I bought. It might be a long one, so, you know, feel free to pause the video, go get a drink, go get something to nibble on, come back, sit down, enjoy your time. Okay, so I tried filming this once before, and I went through, and when I started going through the books, I couldn't actually say what they were about, because obviously I haven't read them, and I didn't look too much into them, so I may potentially embarrass myself a lot, but yeah, what are you gonna do? Okay, so I think in total I spent about $40 on all these books, but I actually saved a lot more money if you had bought them, you know, brand new. So the first couple of books that I bought was a complete series, and that is the Evernight series, and it basically follows a, you know, I believe it's young adult, yep, young adult fiction. Can you see that? Can you see that? Oh, there it is. Would be good if I actually showed it on camera. So I have Evernight, Stargazer, Afterlife, and Hourglass. Now, to my understanding, reading the back of this, it follows a character who is, her name is Bianca, and she's enrolled at Evernight Academy, which is, you know, the story basically focuses on vampires. Vampires who, you know, there's vampires and there's vampire hunters. That's the main gist of the story. And there's an academy that they go to. Or not, okay? Okay. The next book. The next book. Also, I want to point out, really really cool, $2. $2. And can I also point out, Vinnie's. I wasn't making that stuff up. Okay, the next book I bought was a World of Warcraft book. Again, $2. And it follows Jaina Proudmoore, and it's called The Tides of War by Christy Golden. Now, I've actually never read a World of Warcraft book. I used to play it when I was a child, which is why I picked it up, because I really loved that fantasy world, especially the kind of, you know, wood nymph or elvish type of character. It's very reminiscent of Lord of the Rings and Tolkien-esque type elvish. So from what, I don't even know if, like, you know, this is part of a series or whether it's, you know, a standalone or anything like that. It was a bit confusing because when I looked in the front of the book, it lists a whole bunch of different books by a whole bunch of different authors, but I have no idea if they're in a certain order or not, because some say book 1, book 2, book 3, and then some are just complete, you know, standalone type things. So I question what, you know, whether it's part of something or not. But hey, that's something to start collecting. Okay. Moving on to the second bag, I got, this book is called Secrets of a Webcam Girl by Annabelle T. Baxter. It is a memoir. For those who don't know, I used to study gender studies, and God, that makes me feel so sad to say I used to study, because I just finished my major last semester. But I used to study gender studies, and so things like gender and sexuality and the sociology surrounding that as well is very fascinating to me. So this follows the true story of Annabelle and how she was essentially really poor, and one of the ways that she kind of pulled herself out of being poor was to broadcast herself on a webcam. doing sexual acts and everything else. And she recounts her experiences while doing that. And, you know, it's some of the chapter names are... There's 73 chapters, which I kind of look at and I go, do you really need 73 chapters? Like, is that two pages per chapter? Anyway, some of them are really interesting, like, you know, a sugar daddy offer, and cock therapy, and, you know, on my knees, and erotic massage 101, and when sugar daddy gets too sticky, and, like, so much stuff that makes me go, yes, I want to read that, because I want to understand the kind of meaning behind it, rather than go, oh, let's read some quote-unquote sexy story. It's about, you know, how did this benefit this woman, and why is sex work, particularly broadcasting yourself on a webcam, why is that considered shameful or deviant? So that's what I'm looking forward to, and seeing that. Reading that. Now the next one was 2 books of a trilogy, I believe. Again, I haven't read them before. They're both by Kate Forsyth, and the series is The Witches of Elenian, I think. But it's a fantasy series. I really liked them. What stood out to me was on the back of these is a wolf and a bear. Now, to my understanding, it follows, you know, the themes that stick out is, you know, witches and magic and witchcraft and, you know, mythological creatures such as dragons and, you know, all these things are what stand out to me. And I haven't actually read a fantasy book for a very long time, so I think it's something new, some time for something new, rather than rereading, you know, stuff that I own. So that's called, the first book is called Dragonclaw, and the second book is called The Pool of Two Moons. Okay, next one. I found, again, this is similar to Warcraft. I found 2 books, 2 Halo books. I loved the game growing up. I really loved playing it, and I didn't actually know there were books on it, or I knew when I worked in a bookstore, but I didn't care enough to look into it much. Again, I'm not entirely sure if these books work as standalones or if they work in a series. I don't know what comes first, what comes second, what comes third, anything like that. In this one, which is Ghosts of Onyx, it doesn't list any books in the beginning, but then this one, which is called Contact Harvest, it lists 4 books. So I'm not entirely sure. Well, it says it's the series, so I'm just going to assume so, but it's a series. Again, these are also written by different authors. So the first one is written by Eric Nyland, and the second one that I have here, which is actually book 4, I believe, is written by Joseph Staten. Maybe not, because it says that Ghosts of Onyx is book... I don't know, okay? I don't know, but I like Halo, so I bought it. It was like $2 each. Okay, next. Oh, did I buy that? Shark Hunters by Ben Kropp, and then also Whale of a Shark. So it's 2 books in one, and it's True Australian Tales of Sharks. Now, anyone that knows Australia is always terrified of sharks. God forbid there's sharks. Sharks in the water, sharks in the ocean, sharks come to get you. Now, that being said, I am kind of terrified of sharks, and I can't swim, so, you know, hey. But again, while I'm terrified of sharks, I'm so fascinated by them. I've been a big kind of obsessed person with sharks ever since I was little. That being said, I can still watch shark documentaries now and watch them like this, and I have no shame in doing that. Whatever, okay? But I really find them interesting. I actually studied marine science 6 months just because I wanted to work with sharks. Again, I can't swim and I'm terrified of sharks, but hey, it seemed like a good idea at the time. But so this follows, you know, this book contains Australia's first account of regular underwater shark hunting and tales of successful kills that are as spine-chilling as any thriller. Veteran spearfisherman, underwater photographer and well-known filmmaker Ben Kropp takes the reader on a fascinating series of dives into the waters of Australia's northern coasts. And then Whale of a Shark tells of more encounters beyond the Great Barrier Reef, where the author made friends with dangerous sea creatures whilst exploring and salvaging underwater wrecks. Okay, next book, which is the one that I just got really excited about, that I bought. Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You're never too old to reread a children's book. Literally today I reread Matilda and I loved it. Do I really need to go into what this is about? Really? If you don't know Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by now, you need to question things. The next book that I got is part of a series, and it's an Animorphs book. It's book 29, which is called The Sickness. Again, this is a nostalgic read for me. I believe there's 50-something books. I'm currently collecting them again. I never got to finish the series as a child, so because I never had the series, I would always pick like 1 or 2 books up at the op shop, and then I never got to finish the series, and now they're out of print and they're really rare to get, so it's taken me a long time, and I have about half of the series collected. I actually have a list on my phone, so whenever I go to an op shop, I go through and see what ones that I need. So if you can see, those are all the ones that I need. But that being said, I still own like half of them so far, so that gives you an idea of how many are in there. Now, Animorphs tells the story of 5 teenagers, and I mean young teenagers, 5 teenagers who acquire an ability to morph, which hence the Animorphs, where they acquire DNA from an animal and they can morph into the animal for 2 hours before they get trapped in it. So they have a morphing limit. Anyway, I plan to do a very thorough, long video on Animorphs when I finish reading the series. But until then, we'll leave this aside for another time. And that was good because that was 50 cents, so I got really excited. Okay, next book is, I believe it was $2. Orange is the New Black. I have watched season 1 and 2 of Orange is the New Black. I haven't watched season 3 yet. I plan to, especially because, hey, Ruby Rose, like, hey, Ruby Rose. But, you know, I never actually knew that Orange is the New Black was a memoir rather than, you know, a fictional story. So I'm actually really excited to read this and compare it to the Netflix series. Next book is Organize Them. That's book 1, book 3. That's the other series, the other series. The other series. Okay. So, this is the Dark Heavens trilogy by Kylie Chan. So, it is White Tiger, Red Phoenix, and Blue Dragon. I haven't ever read these. I used to work in a bookstore, and I always saw them in the fantasy section, but I never actually picked them up. And then when I left the when the bookstore closed down, I never got the chance to pick them up, and I never, read them. But I have a real deep fascination with Asian culture. Funnily enough, it says that these books were bought at the bookstore that I worked at. How's that? And it says there that they were $20.99, and I got them for $2 each, and I got all 6 of these books for $2 each instead of $21 each. Holla at your savings. So I really like the idea of, I know a lot of people talk about it, but reading diverse authors. I am the first person to admit I do not read a lot of authors that are not, authors that aren't white. I don't read a lot of authors by that. Not necessarily intentionally, And, you know, I've read books by Aboriginal authors and, you know, different memoirs and stuff like that, but I rarely pick up something popular that's from someone who isn't white, mostly because there's a problem with publishing where a lot of people who aren't white don't really get recognised all the recognition they deserve, and that's something that I want to kind of break out of personally. Is I want to read more books from, you know, culturally diverse authors. One of the books on that list is Memoirs of a Geisha. Love the movie. Gotta watch the book. Gotta read the book. So anyway, getting back to it, White Tiger and the Dark Heavens trilogy. Excuse me. It follows, you know, this woman who is a nanny to this very rich Hong Kong businessman's daughter, and the daughter may be a target for kidnappers, and then she's drawn into a world of magic, extreme danger, martial arts, where gods and demons exist in the mortal domain, and like, oh, that sounds so exciting to me. So that follows that story. Then the second trilogy is The Journey to Wudang, again by Kylie Chan. Again, they were all $21 and I got them for $2 each. Let that sink in for a second. This one, the trilogy, I really love the colours as well. Like, that green, are you kidding me? Amazing. Okay, so the first book is called Earth to Hell, which is interesting because I don't think the spine's ever been cracked on this, which is super exciting. The second one is called, so we have Earth to Hell, we have Hell to Heaven, and then we have, God, I need to get better at showing things on camera, Heaven to Wudang. Now, this one, I mean, I'm assuming it has something to do with martial arts, not gonna, just throwing a wild idea out there. So this is a follow-on trilogy that builds on this trilogy years later. Now that's exciting, because it talks about the characters from that trilogy having brand new challenges. That's exciting. Okay, moving on. I have a couple more books with me. The next one is Planet Elephant by Tammy Matson, a story of family, love, and global wildlife. Now, I believe this is a memoir, or a non-fiction book, and it talks about the illegal wildlife trade of Asia, rhinoceros horn poaching and the ivory trade, and I just want to shout out to China for saying they will end the ivory trade, the elephant ivory trade, by the end of 2017. Thank you. Now, why did I buy this? I'm a huge fan of animals. If you've watched my Part of the Pride review video on the book by Kevin Richardson, you will understand how much I love animals. This one follows elephants. I'm just a fan of animals. Anything to do with animals, I'll read. I'm a bit anxious because it's about, you know, a really sad topic, which is the ivory trade, but I'm going into it with the mind that positive changes are happening in the world, so that's the kind of mindset that I want to approach this book with. The next one is a book by Leanne Moriarty. It's called The Hypnotist's Love Story. Now, if I'm not mistaken, she graduated from the university that I currently go to, and I believe she just studied writing there, or she at least studied literature and English, and that's what I'm studying, so she can do it, I can do it. I've never actually read anything by her, and I thought what a perfect opportunity to pick up something by her. And I also believe her sister went to my university as well, and is also an author. So, The Hypnotist's Love Story, it sounds like a book that I would write, So Eleanor Farrell is an expert when it comes to human frailties. She's a hypnotherapist who helps her clients deal with everything from addictions to lifelong phobias. So when she falls in love with a man who is being stalked by his ex-girlfriend, she's more intrigued than frightened. What makes a supposedly smart, professional woman behave this way? She'd love to meet her. What she doesn't know is that she already has. Saskia has been masquerading as a client, and their lives are set to collide in ways Ellen could never have predicted. As Ellen is about to discover we're all a little crazy, even her. That sounds like fun. It also sounds like something that I don't generally pick up. So, yeah. Next book. Oh, it's the last book. I can't say too much about this. It's Inheritance by Christopher Paolini, of the Aragon series. The Aragon series down there. I've never read Aragon, or, Eldest, or Brisinga, or Inheritance, but I want to. I don't even know if I own Aragon. I know I own one of them, because I picked it up at the op shop, and I want to build that, series, so then I can sit down and read it. It's just a matter of, hey, need the series to be able to read it. It's such a big, thick, chunky book too, and that kind of makes me go, yeah, let's read it. It follows dragons, that's as much as I know. It follows dragons. And I'm excited. I love anything with mythological creatures. Okay, that's that. I can try to show you oh god, no I can't, hang on. Let me undo that. Okay. Down there is the big mess of books that I have, because I just tossed them on the bed. But yeah, again, all up, I think I spent about $40 on those books, and I know that I saved a lot more money on them, and I'm really happy with it because a lot of them are complete sets, which makes me more inclined to grab them because they're cheap and they're good stories as well. It's not like someone throwing out, a story that isn't worth reading. So, yeah, I hope you liked this, freaking 24-minute long video of my op shop haul. I promise I won't do one again for a while. Although I said that last time and then I did another one, but we'll see. I have other things that I want to say, but I'm not going to say them in this video, and I don't know if I'll address them anywhere else, but we'll see. That being said, until next time, happy reading!